What's going on with you? Hey, that was good to talk to Powers the other day. That was fun.
Oh yeah, that was a fun episode. Powers, I think we just shook him awake from bed and we're like, all right, we're like recording.
It was a great shot you had on the front of it, the face palm.
hmm
I hate to say it, I couldn't read your thing this morning because I didn't have glasses on.
Oh
So
shit. I was actually just bitching about. So I got a group of friends to come over for the Monday night comedy show, right?
right.
The only way to describe our audience at that point was violently interested.
Wow.
They were
Wow.
so excited about it. They kept guessing like the end of jokes. They kept interrupting setups. It was so embarrassing for me because all the other comics knew that these guys were my friends. So they were like
You,
really nice to them and didn't like unleash.
okay, that's pretty. But you know what? That's an intelligent audience. Now, a little boisterous, but I would rather
Mm.
have that than the people that sit back and hold their drink and go, make me laugh. You know,
Da- Dance for me, monkey clown.
how was your set?
I the way they heckled everybody, I bailed on my set and I stitched together. Like I was like, dude, if I do this bit, they're gonna make fun of this portion, so don't do that one. Go there, go there. So it was like the most toothless piece of shit thing I'd sprung together.
Right. I did one night where I tried to read the audience and I didn't read it very well. And I
Mhm.
ended up talking, I mean, just I was rambling and I'm not usually a rambler. Usually I'm trying to go somewhere. Yeah, it didn't work out very I don't like unpracticed, Yeah,
Mhm.
and and I can tell you, I mean, because I've been in that position where people know what kind of is coming
Yep.
and they start repeating it before it happens. And you go, dude, just yeah, I thought you were my friend. I thought you were my friend.
Sean, there was one portion where I'm pretty sure I used the punchline for a different joke.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even they looked confused as to what the hell I just said.
This really right now what we're talking about is stuff that new comedians should do. So my
Mhm.
famed son Kyle, as you know very well, your former assistant, always believed that he could get up and do stand up, and I go, do it. I said, but
Mhm.
as an experienced professional actor who's been paid for doing this stuff, be prepared. Don't just go up and tell a story because none of these people are your friends. They have no context. And that's
Yeah.
the thing most people don't understand is they've known you for 20 years, so they know what you're talking about. As an audience member, I have no damn idea who your Aunt Eileen is and why she was behaving that way.
Sean,
So
I had the opposite problem where there was too much context where I was like, dude, can you guys please forget a few things about our lives?
okay, that's good. Yeah, it is. It's an interesting deal. The big thing I tell anybody is I go the first time I ever went up, and this was, I'd done theater for 20 years. It wasn't new. But
Mhm.
getting up in an audience with no one to play off of, there's no music introduction, there's no reason for you to be on stage, where you make an entrance to either catch the killer or catch your wife, or there's some reason you're on stage. And instead, you're up there and you can see these fuzzy little things from the spotlight, and it smells like vomit, pee, and maybe some soup. And somebody smoked too much before they got on there, and you can smell their stale cigarettes. And then
Mhm.
and then focus, Sean, and make people laugh. it's, it's tough.
Oh, but I'll tell you, the host was really interesting. I hadn't seen her perform before, is my guess. She's
Yeah.
Her name is Mariam. I'll tag her in this, but then she's a Muslim comic, first
Oh
one
wow.
I ever met in India.
Huh.
She
That
did really well. And my idiot friends are heckling even her. And I was like, y'all are all women at this table. Would you leave her alone, please? Let her succeed.
I think that would be a pretty interesting take on stuff because your setups would all be really straight.
hmm
And you can and over there, though, are they allowed to go take that 90-degree turn? Because over here, no one cares.
Oh, basically that one room, I think we just have rooms which are full of freedom of speech. The moment you step out of there, you're fucked.
Right. I got to tell you, I always find stuff like that, because I did a 3-minute piece at a deal about the Catholic Church, not humor. I mean, and it was pretty effective. They took my YouTube video down off of the deal.
Wow.
Right. Not YouTube. The school, the Oklahoma State School Board. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think I've ever been censored. But, you guys are from a place where it happens. I literally like, Kathy, look at this shit. It was here yesterday and it's gone. But I was pretty hard on him. I won't lie. It is. I can't send it to you because it's a TikTok video. You can't watch it over there.
For those of you listening anywhere else in the world, this is India, and we've banned TikTok because we share a border with China and we don't want them fucking with our shit.
That's fair. And then look, and I can honestly tell you, I'm sure whatever the algorithms are on TikTok, if you ever get to be on there, for those of you who don't know what it is, it messes with your algorithms more than anything I've ever done in my entire life. I get things that get 700,000 views, and then the next one will get 1,200. I mean, it is impossible, literally impossible. But what they're doing is just trying to train you to get more of the similar content out stuff. And it's weird, but it's pretty fun. I won't lie.
Oh, yeah. I'm still pitching that idea, Sean, when you get free time sometime to just shit on people's ideas for starting businesses. Grumpy bartender wiping his ass on your dreams is what I like to call it.
So I guess the way we have to do that, Deepak, is we got to set up a new channel, because I do so much humanitarian stuff. I think that would be, they might misunderstand it. Does that make sense? And they'd be like, I came to you for help and now I'm going to go kill myself. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy.
Sean, I think that's a reoccurring theme in our podcast where they're like, I think these guys just depressed the hell out of me.
Okay, I'll give you an example. And so, you get, I always get people in that have always wanted to own a restaurant, right? But they've never bothered to work in one. Now, it wouldn't enter my mind to go to a surgeon and go, hey, can I step in for you today? I've really always wanted to do this. I'm fascinated by what I see on television. And he would turn around and go, fuck off. And I go, but you said it to me at my restaurant. So I'm always interested to go, how much are you willing to lose on your dream? You know what I mean? I really mean this. You go, so if you're worth $5 million, how much of that $5 million are you willing to lose before you go, I'm not very good at this? Because this is a hard freaking business, man. I mean, look at this. I'm talking to you at 5 a.m. and I got home last night at 9 p.m.
Yeah, and you got bread in the oven. You probably have tidied up the place.
Somewhat. I haven't cleaned the bathrooms yet for everybody. The undesirable part of my personality. Oh, that's an Indian joke.
Untouchable.
Shit. Damn.
Great joke. Just that I'm the only one who understood it.
Undesirables. I guess that would be the Hillary Clinton, Trump voters. So what is that? So I have not spoken to anyone, period, about the new war over in the Middle East, and would prefer not to.
Neither have I.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you guys, but the only way apartheid ended is apartheid ended. Yeah, and I'm not, and believe me, I don't like anybody sending 1,200 missiles into a place where civilians live. I'm not cool with that. But yeah, that is the topic, but let me go around it without talking about the topic. How about that? Are you sure that for a minute? Okay. Yeah. How do you get 1,500 missiles into Palestine? Who has the intelligence to tell you where to shoot them and how to do it and how to operate them? Because literally, for folks that don't know, my former business partner is Palestinian, so is his whole family. That place is a lockdown, what would be like the old Jewish ghettos in Germany. You just can't get out. And somewhere or another, that much stuff got smuggled in. I mean, did El Chapo go over there and dig the well that you could run the tunnel through to get all these in? So all of that stuff had to come from, I'm guessing, Iran. And then where did Iran get the information? Probably the Soviet Union. And who was friendly enough with them that had Israeli intelligence that could give it to them? And there's only one person I know. But we'll leave that there.
So there was that. You remember the old documentary I made you watch about Adam Curtis, the BBC one?
Yeah.
The one where he talks about dearism, and he talks about how the news media at times doesn't have someone defined as the victim, someone defined as the villain, because someone who was the victim earlier all of a sudden does an atrocious act against humanity, and now they become the same thing. Like, think about that old thing with ISIS, where first we wanted to get the guy, what the hell was that guy's name in it's not Gaddafi, Libya, somewhere there. The weird one with the pointy nose and the stash, porn star stashing. I can't remember his name.
Okay, so that would have to be Saddam Hussein.
There's one more guy who looks like him.
All of his people had stashes.
Yeah, so they were in the process of trying to get him removed from being the ruler of that country. And then all of a sudden, ISIS came along and they realized that the person he was fighting was way more evil. So now they had to support him to fight ISIS. And they just left him in power.
So, God, I mean, are you talking? You're not talking about the guy from Syria that went to school in America.
Is that the guy?
It might be. And he's real well educated. He's American educated. And he just let Syria go to hell and he's still in charge. I mean, but we as Americans have tried to control parts of international politics forever. And I'm not, it's, if you're this big of a country and you have that much money, you meddle in a whole bunch of shit. Sometimes you pick the wrong people because you really don't know them. The reason you have embassies around the world is so you know somebody. And when something happens, you call them and go, hey, what's the actual story on the ground? Who can really help us? That's the investment in embassies. And a president ago, we wiped out a bunch of those people. And it's shown in this past week that we don't have the same level. It's a precarious time right now. I had this guy in the restaurant last night, and he's like, man, these are what my ex-Blackwater military people. And I'm like, do you realize you just stained their entire reputation by saying what you just said? And he goes, yeah, but this is what they say could happen here. And I go, dude, we've got like 5,000 miles of water border. You can't cover it all. You just can't do it. It isn't like anybody needs a plan. Ask the cocaine smugglers where they came in. That's what I mean. Ask the human smugglers where they came in. I mean, it's so people are getting a little crazy. The what I'm seeing, and this is an argument I really and truly don't want any part of this conflict. But how it's playing out here is we need to look at Israeli politics and go, how did their politics get to this point when somebody's running for president and they have to have a coalition of parties and nobody can get it? And those fractions are where the openings for these problems begin. And I'm not saying it's an Israeli problem. It's a political problem when everybody's that fractured. There is I think it's a Dutch show, perhaps it's Belgium. Oh my God, and this lady's a prime minister, and I'll think of it after we're off the air. But it's probably the most realistic political show I've ever seen because it's not exciting. It's just the boredom and aggravation of sitting down with the Green Party and the Labor Party and so and going, what do you have to get to join us? And then the weird one person that throws it all down the toilet, which we have going on here. This little fucking weirdo named Matt Gaetz that, okay, since I'm segueing to Matt Gaetz, is it safe to talk about all that stuff in India or no?
That's all fine, eh? As long as it doesn't have anything to do with our country, we're just constantly shitting on the others we can.
Man, so this guy, so out of the blue, one of the Oklahoma congressmen comes up and goes, yeah, he was showing me these young girls.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Mullen, Mark Wayne Mullen.
Mm-hmm. I did see that scene in one.
Yeah, he's a plumber. Let's just go there. Nothing wrong with being a plumber. It is not the same as being a statesman. And I think you gotta be honest with yourself. So if Mark Wayne Mullen saw all that shit 2 years ago, doesn't he have a legal obligation to report it?
Yeah, why do it now? Just because Gaetz pushed out the speaker? Mm-hmm.
Right. When it's convenient and it worked for you, that he was child trafficking is what you're telling me, that you knew about it for years. But there's no clawback on any of these guys. I mean, we are in a weird damn place here. There's just no clawback. And that's all these other guys like, yeah, I know he did this and he dated an underage girl. And I realized 17-year-olds don't look like 17-year-olds when I was young, or even when you were young. They look like grown women. But if you knew that and didn't say anything, you then are liable. That is a legal offense. It's very, but and yes, the guy's a dickhead, but he's a spoiled little rich brat. And wherever he's from, Florida, where Ron DeSantis has come out of, which is the retirement capital for the East Coast. I don't know how they went so crazy. I mean, the whole state used to be tourism and retirees from the East Coast.
There's there's a Colin Quinn bit where he talks about all 50 states. I think for Oklahoma, he says something like, lose the rodeo, you're embarrassing yourself. But for Florida, he says, Florida, you bum. You were supposed to be the jewel of the East.
It is, but that kind of lunacy, and so what I would look at is this new conflict, along with our own political problems here, which are huge. The fact that Donald Trump did January 6th and still is polling dead even with Joe Biden right now.
I know.
Is worrying. But here's the thing. All the polls before, the Republicans were giving wrong answers on purpose. And I think a bunch of Democrats now are giving wrong answers on purpose. And this is from somebody in politics. You just go, yeah, it doesn't make sense. I mean, you get the 30% who are with this guy, and which is a lot of humans here. And but the polling is a little skewed. And I always just say, yeah, but they haven't even started to advertise on the Democratic side yet. I go, Trump's eating up the news because he has competitors. Yeah, but we'll see where that ends up.
What about the new third party that's up and running, I guess, now? Yeah,
the shame of for RFK. All right, so here's the deal. I got this friend of mine that used to work for RFK. And when he was still running as a Democrat, wanted to bring him in to speak. And I was like, I'd go hear him speak, but he's a loon. RFK has enough Kennedy name to change the election.
Yeah.
It just depends on how big his ego is. He has done more for the planet than any other politician I know. But he also is a bit of a loon. And when your own brothers and sisters come out against you,
I know. That's a bad look.
You've crossed some line. And I don't know if he just wants to stay in the mix so the message isn't lost. But look, I mean, we got two major candidates running that nobody wants. So we have now a third party candidate that nobody wants. I mean, think about us as an enormous economy. And we literally, nobody wants to be CEO that's normal.
Yeah.
We brought it on ourselves. But look, I will say this from my perspective, when they came out with all that stuff on Matt Gaetz, the underage people, hookers and all this other shit, and I go, yeah, we just had a president that did all that. No one cares. And now you guys are the ones throwing it out there like we're supposed to care. And then you go, well, they don't care. And you go, right, you numbed everybody to it. already. It's already
Mhm.
been done. So it's almost like they're stealing some joke list that they saw in Cleveland, and they're trying to play it in Kansas City and hope nobody was at the Cleveland show. It's nah, that's where we're at over here. How's your stuff?
Our stuff, I stay away from the news as much as possible. Like, my mother's the only one who gives me like bits and pieces of information when I'm like drinking tea with her or something. That's as much as my exposure to this shit, because I don't really want to fuck with it too.
Yeah. And is there comedy in there anymore, or has this all turned to tragedy? I mean, I don't, Trump was hilarious. I mean, at first, but once worldwide pandemic, it wasn't funny anymore.
Oh yeah, like, see, there's that new genre, they call it traumedy. It can either be traumatic comedy or tragic comedy. Either way, that's where we are at, I think.
Hey, it's fair, man. It is fair. Wow. Okay, let me check my bread, and I can tell you how much time we have left.
You said ready at 36. It is right now 4. So 24, I think, is what we got.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Well, what do you want to cover for our last 5 minutes, my friend? Which is what my bread is saying we've got.
Do you have any news there, or should we go back to one of the comics getting heckled by a drunk lady from Dubai who refused to keep quiet?
Let's do Dubai. We've never touched Dubai.
Like, she and I think the guy who she was going out with, they came and sat at the table, which is like directly in front of the microphone, and kept yelling shit at him. Luckily, this comic is good enough where, like, this is not a friend of mine, okay? This is like, he was like, "Madam, where are you from?" And she was like, "I'm from Dubai." And he was like, "Yeah, that's why you won't shut the fuck up, would you?" type shit. The comic's name.
Everything is. Yeah, Dubai is the new America. Everything's new. I mean, which is great, but it's still built on sand, which in the Bible they might say something about building something on sand. How does that whole place not eventually get washed away? Everything they built, the individual islands and all the other stuff.
Do you know, like, James once sent me a meme and he was like, "This reminds me so much of you." The meme just says, "You're the kind of person who uses the sentence, 'You look like a guy who likes Dubai,' as an insult." That's who I am.
Hey, it's I mean, I have to be totally honest with you. So we get Dubai commercials over here, mostly like for their medical system. And all I can think of is, what did you do with all the slave labor that you did to build all of this beautiful stuff? Did they all go back home, or did you give them your beautiful health care while they were here?
Ow. Yeah.
Valid question. Abu Dhabi, I would say the same thing. And a lot of these places, no Americans know what they are. So will you want to fill them in?
Oh, no. Do you know that new thing that they're building where it's supposed to be like, it almost looks like the Great Wall? And it's supposed to be a city with no roads, and it's just everything you need is just connected inside that wall. It almost looks like something from a dystopian zombie movie where they're trying to protect it from something. So
did they take an aerial shot of the original Paris? or the Roman ruins? Because, they only had roads for everybody to walk on. I mean, there was nothing there. That would be the world's most modern city. I mean, if you're trying to outdo your neighbors and shit on everybody around you. I mean, I just look at it and go, I still don't want to live there. And whether you have a ski area or not in the middle of the desert, that sounds like white people. We build trees where there were no trees. We cut down trees where there are trees. That's our people thing. And he's stealing our people shit. He's putting it on a ski resort in the desert.
Yeah, we need to come up with a new tagline for Dubai. Something like, "This is what white people wish they could have built."
Here it is. Dubai. It's like Vegas if you took away all the fun.
Yep.
So the thing about Las Vegas is when they built the Hoover Dam, this gigantic dam, generates the electricity for Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But the Hoover Lake went down a whole bunch. And for a while they were struggling because it's in the middle of the desert. You shouldn't build everything there. I mean, just Phoenix, the city of Phoenix is just stupid. I mean, there was no reason to build. There's nothing around there. People were just like, well, some tech companies moved here, so we'll build housing. I mean, you're in the middle of the desert. If you can't live there year round safely with or without air conditioning or heat, you probably shouldn't be there. I mean, I don't.
It's true.
And you know, I like the vision that these guys have, and I like the fact that they sit around somewhere and go, I got limitless cash. What do you want to build? But I don't like the fact that they import a shit ton of slave labor. Whole bunch of them die, and the rest of them they just send back home after they've worked their ass off there for a few years. I mean, what do you used to call that here? I think it was called slavery. I do. I think that they had a name for it.
That is true. They build so much shit now in tourism. And I never understood the concept of, like, I've had layovers where it was a couple of days, and that's as much as Dubai that I could ever take in my life.
Okay, let's be honest and tell everybody why you really don't like Dubai. And because I know. So he was at the airport and he went to go buy a beer. And you could buy a beer for, it was like, $100. But if you wanted a really cold beer, a really cold beer was like $20 more. And I still remember the conversation.
Sean, I am petty. You know I'm going to hold this till there are people in 5th grade who I still have a grudge against, and I'm like, okay, I will see you soon. And they probably just forgot I exist. This is the same attitude I have to that bartender who was like, this is $10, but the beer is 98 degrees. This is $20, but the beer is 115 degrees. And I was like,
Yeah. Which one do you think the slave laborers were drinking? I mean, that's my, I mean, it's a modern day problem in an old part of the world that I'm not going to solve. But you are the best example of the shit people pull as you go tell that story, because I still remember it. And I don't remember you telling it more than once. And I was like, that's a really shitty thing to do in the desert. What an asshole.
Yeah, but think about it, Sean. Like, to get something that cold in the middle of a desert uses so much electricity that guy had probably no chance but to put his electricity bill along with my little tab and give it back to me.
The first time one of my relatives was in Ireland, they wanted like a slice of lemon in a drink. And they brought out this razor thin slice of lemon. And I go, yeah, nothing, it doesn't grow there. That had to come from Africa or southern Spain or some shit.
This actually happened at a Scottish pub, okay, where a friend of mine asked for a glass with a wedge of lemon in it, and the bartender looked at her and he said, sorry, lass, we don't do cocktails. I was like, dude.
Brilliant. You know what, man, that's, we'll see how the next year or two work out. That's where we need to meet in Edinburgh for the comedy festival.
Oh, yeah.
They do a comedy festival there in the beginning of September that is enormous. But you end up going on at like 2 a.m. and there's 3 people in the audience, but it would make the best TikTok videos ever. Could you not understand anybody out there? And they can't understand, dude. It's just a big drunk fest for 2 weeks.
There is this wild story I've heard, John, about one of those festivals that happened there was a rugby game, which is like 4 hours or 6 hours, something like that. So these people, the audience, had been drinking for like almost 6 hours straight. And then the comic goes up. And the people are forgetting the setup by the time he gets to the punchline. And he was like, this is the worst set ever. But he was like, I went and stood in the crowd because I knew that the act after me was a magician. And I wanted to see what the hell these guys do. And apparently the magician did like a trick and he pulled out something that looked like a watermelon. And he was like, the audience face lit up because these guys have had nothing but beer all day. They were like, that's the first food they've seen.
Okay, that's awesome. Hey, look, have a look at that. That would be fun to do. I think they'll still let me back in the country. So, but it's Edinburgh is a French-built city, so it's absolutely beautiful with all the negativity and overcast skies of Scotland. So, pretty good. All right, homie, you better take us out here.
Well, this was actually a more exciting episode that we've done in recent times. We didn't depress anybody, I don't think. Hope not. Minus the tourism department of Dubai, Sean. They have beef with us now.
Yeah, they're coming for both of us.
Okay, like, subscribe, follow the YouTube channel. Thank you.